For the 7th straight season, the Carolina Hurricanes are going to the NHL playoffs, and oh my, what a way to do it with a 5-1 win over the Washington Capitals.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a playoff clinching Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. I am your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. Also do some AHL coverage over at the Calder Times, even doing some baseball at Covering the Corner at SB Nation. I'm the co-host of the Search Cast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes, along with all of my dudes here at Locked On Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes have officially clinched a playoff spot for the 7th season in a row. They say 7 is a lucky number, and the Hurricanes prove exactly that in the Rod Brind'Amour era, going 7-4-7. And what's even better about that too? Rod Brind'Amour is the only active head coach in the NHL to reach the Stanley Cup playoffs in each of his first 7 seasons behind the bench, from 2018 to 2025. And man, what a way to do it too. 5-1 on the Washington Capitals, the number one team in the East, team who's fighting for a President's Trophy, and they absolutely gave it to them. As Shorzy says, run them up and fill them in, and exactly what they did. My goodness, what an overall just great game by this entire team. We saw 144 penalty minutes in this game alone, and we had over 100 coming in the last 7 minutes of the game. But more importantly than that, how about some point milestones for a lot of these guys? Jackson Blake, 30 points on the season after 2 power play goals, and the Hurricanes had 3 of them the entire game. Yes, that's right. As Seth Jarvis said it, our power play is getting pretty hot right now, and they do exactly that. 3 power play goals, 2 by Blake alone, 1 by Seth Jarvis. And talking about Seth Jarvis, how about 30 goals in the season for back-to-back 30s for Seth? You love to see it. And over 60 points once again. That is now back-to-back years of a 30-goal, 60-point season. And how about none other than Sebastian Aho, 70 points in his career, tying Pat Verbeek and Blaine Stoughton for the 3rd most 70-point seasons in franchise history. Who's he behind? Well, how about Ron Francis with 11 and Eric Stahl with 7? But just this overall game was absolutely bonkers from start to finish. Hurricanes up 3-0 after 1. They were just absolutely just on it from start to finish, and the way they did it was absolutely amazing. So you get Sean Walker, gets his 5th of the season, makes it 1-0. Over just not even 4 minutes later, first power play goal from Jackson Blake, his 13th at the time. 3 minutes later, Seth Jarvis for his 30th goal in the season, a power play goal. That is 2 in the game already for the Hurricanes at their T21. That's the end of the first. Second period, how about Logan Stango getting his 12th of the season, almost 9.5 minutes in. And then Jackson Blake in the 3rd period wraps it up nice and tight with his 14th goal of the season, giving the Hurricanes a 5-1 win. And that's Seth Jarvis's 30th assist on the year. And now Seth, 30 goals, 30 assists, 60 points on the season. You'll love to see it. What a way to do the business. And you know what? Yeah, Alexander Ovechkin might have scored a goal. Hey, but you know what? Hey, the refs had to give you a 5-on-3. So be it. Held him to 1. He's only 3 away from breaking. But you know what? Do it somewhere else. You're not doing that thing here in Carolina. And the most important thing for this whole thing, out of this whole game, Hurricanes didn't have to rely on anyone else doing it. They clinched the spot themselves, and they do it in a fashion of a 5-1 beating on the Capitals. Just an overall, this is a statement game from the Carolina Hurricanes, because I've been saying it all along for the last few episodes. You want to get your power play hot at the right time. And the Hurricanes in this game already had 5 straight games with a power play goal thanks to Jackson Blake. But then you put about 3 spot on special teams. That is called putting in the work. That's called that this power play unit is now officially slump busted. How about 3 for 8 on the power play, 37.5% in a game where it saw the Capitals have 74 penalty minutes and the Hurricanes have 68 with a slew of 10-minute misconducts. Absolutely insane. But you know what? The Capitals only going to score 1. They went 1 for 4 on the power play. Only goal. It had to be on a 5-on-3 with some questionable holdings, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Hurricanes went 3 for 8. They did the business. They did the job. And you know what? I don't care if the Capitals are on the second half of a back-to-back. Everyone's got to do it. The Hurricanes have to do it 3 times this month alone in April before the end of the season. But with 8 games left after tonight, they did the business, and that's all you really needed to matter is they took care of the job. They got the win. Playoffs officially clinched, and now your focus for the rest of the regular season, 8 games left, go get that second seed in the East. That's all that really matters. And just an absolute complete game from the Hurricanes. 60 minutes of Canes hockey. Outside, like I said, questionable penalties led to a 5-on-3. They absolutely dominated. Frederik Andersen, have a game to the Great Dane. Stands up, shows out, absolutely just plays his everything off for the Carolina Hurricanes in this one. Outside of, like I said, a power play goal that's kind of whatever at this point. How about a .952 save percentage? 20 saves on 21 shots. Took care of business. Seth Jarvis, 2 points. Jackson Blake with 2 points. How about points from Aho, Stakehoven, Taylor Hall, and Jack Rossovic? How about the defense? Shane Gostisbehere, 2 apples for him. Sean Walker with the goal. And that's how you wrap up a nice game to go. Like I said, 2-1 on the regular season series between the 2 teams. But now you go for your 7th straight playoff appearance. Just an overall great game by this team. Like I said, you got Blake with 30 points on the season, a very quiet 30, averaging less than 14 minutes a game. Seth Jarvis, coming into this game, you knew he was going to hit 30 goals and 60 points. How is he going to do it? Well, how about a goal? How about an assist to go 30, 30, and 60? Perfectly in line, perfectly balanced, as it should be. And like I said, Sebastian Aho going and doing the job himself by getting 70 points on the season once again. And you know what? Going back to Seth Jarvis real quick, he is just the 7th player in Canes Whalers history with multiple 30-goal seasons before he's 24. He's now done it twice in back-to-back years. Who else has he done it with? How about Eric Stahl, who's done it 3 times? How about Sylvain Turgeon, who's done it 3 times? Sebastian Aho twice, Jeff Squander twice, Jeff Sanderson twice, and Kevin Dineen also twice. Talk about some great company for Seth Jarvis and Canes Whalers history. We're doing a lot of those guys who've already done it 3 times and 2 times before he turns 24. You know what? That's why you signed him to that 8-year contract. That's why, if you check out my article over at the Hockey Writers about the 3 stars in March of why Seth Jarvis, once again, was the number 1 star of March, and this is why he's going to be the first star probably once again, just because of how great he's been playing. Just like, this goes to show that the right guys that fit in the right system will thrive here. And Seth Jarvis, first season, 40 points as a rookie, has 39 his second season. Yeah, it was a little bit of a down year, but he was working on his defense, and now you've seen why he did that in back-to-back years. And that's why you look at a game like this where he stands up tall for his teammates, he does the job, scoring goals, getting assists, doing what he needs to do on the ice. And that's why you see the Hurricanes where they're at. Even Sebastian Aho getting some assists, 70 points. Jackson Blake, 2 power play goals, gets him to 30. And overall, just a great team one. Everyone's standing up for themselves, and this is where you look at a game for the Carolina Hurricanes where they do the business, do the job, and now they're going to the playoffs for a 7th straight season. But what else happened in this game? Because like I said, a lot happened. Power play goals, misconducts, everything you can think of. This game had it all. This was playoff atmosphere hockey. With 9 games left, we have a bunch of scraps. Guys are getting thrown out left and right. There's hardly anyone else on the bench. What an electric night for the Hurricanes to get the playoffs. So what else happened? Well, stick around and we'll talk about it more here in a second on a playoff clinching Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. There's nothing like watching basketball live, or in my case, and for everyone else watching the show, hockey, especially playoff hockey. But the energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity signing at courtside. If you want to catch the game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Like I said, especially for the playoffs as well, coming up to Carolina here in the next few weeks. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Well, it is game time. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And like I said at the end of the segment 1, what in the absolute world happened in this game to see over 100 penalty minutes in this one? And my goodness, this game basically had it all. 74 penalty minutes for the Washington Capitals, 68 for the Carolina Hurricanes. You have to ask yourself, what in the heck happened for this to go absolutely sideways? Well, I'll basically tell you how that happened. There was a bunch of fights later on in the game, a bunch of scraps. How about in the third period alone? You look at where it was totally fine for the most part. You had one penalty early on at 6:20, and then from 11:39 on, just slashings, roughings, game misconducts all across the board. You had over 100 penalty minutes basically at the 11:39 mark through the rest of the period, and that's how you get over that's how you get 144 PIMs in one game. And this is 8 games left in the regular season. And here's the crazy part too, is these two teams face each other next Thursday in Washington. So you know, whatever nonsense happened in this one is probably going to carry over. And what makes this very interesting when you look at this overall, especially in this third period, to where you're the Capitals. You're getting absolutely caved in by the Canes at this point. Nothing's really working your way. Hurricanes are playing stellar defense. They're scoring left, right, and center. And what happens? Well, as the Hurricanes media team puts it, an A-plus hissy fit gets thrown. And you got Tom Wilson, getting mad at Sebastian Aho because Aho didn't take a hit from him. Caught a little bit of a follow-through from Aho when he was trying to spin out of him away from getting lit up by Wilson. Then Dylan Strum gets into it with them. And then you have a bunch of other guys getting into some scrums. And then all of a sudden, guys are getting tossed. And then there's more scrums going on behind the net. Tom Wilson's crotch-checking Sean Walker from behind. Stankoven shoves him and sticking for his teammate. Wilson loses his absolute mind. Goes after a guy who's 5'8", $165. He gets tossed for misconduct. Stankoven gets tossed for misconduct. And then not that much later, we have another brouhaha where there's guys going after Jankowski and Tyson Jost. And Jost is trying to fight a guy. And, of course, he's got Duhane throwing haymakers at him around the ref while he's on the ice. Tyson Jost gets absolutely – he goes after him as well. Jankowski's in a scrap. They're both – all the penalty boxes are getting filled up. There's guys yelling at each other from the penalty boxes. The ref's like, all right, all of you are out of here. So they get misconducts as well. Then Connor McMichael goes after Jalen Chatfield. Basically, Chatfield throws him down on the ice. And, of course, they both get tossed as well. So, I mean, there's just – it's like you get a misconduct, you get a misconduct, and you get a misconduct. Like, there's hardly anyone left on the benches. The Storm Surge has got like half the guys there because almost everyone's thrown out of the game from all these fights. And it's just – and that's the thing where the rivalry is really definitely heated back up once again. This is almost like a 2019 playoff rivalry again, where these teams absolutely hate each other. And now you get to face each again next Thursday in Washington. And you're looking at a possible second round matchup if both teams make it through their first rounds. And you get these two again in round 2 of the playoffs. That's going to be an electric factory. That could feed families for the next 2 decades, because that is just going to be an absolute bloodbath between these two teams. But you know what? Hey, if you start losing, they want to get angry and start trying to fight everyone, because you were basically almost fighting everyone from the second period, and the Hurricanes decided in the third, all right, we're done with this. We're going to stick up for each other. And this is a bonding moment game right before the playoffs. And the last thing that anyone wants to have right now is to have the Carolina Hurricanes figure out their power play unit, which scored 3 goals tonight, if I haven't already said that enough, 3 power play goals on 8 chances. And now you're going to go and try and make these guys upset before you get ready for the playoffs. I don't care who you are in the first round. You're going to get a very determined Carolina Hurricanes team to prove everyone wrong, because the Hurricanes media team already set the receipts of the bold prediction of the Hurricanes missing the playoffs. Hey, how did that work out when they just secured another one, 96 points on the season, and their 7th straight playoff appearance? And then you get the Capitals trying to get the Hurricanes guys upset, and they're not a team that usually goes out and gets into scraps. But hey, if you're going to mess with one of us, you're going to mess with all of us. And that's exactly what happened in this one. And now you're going to get a very upset and determined Hurricanes team to basically roll through everyone else in the regular season and then get ready for the playoffs with the power play worked out now. Yeah, this Hurricanes team might have something to say when it comes playoff time here in a few weeks. But yeah, this game was just, like I said, absolutely nuts. And missed through all of this as well. How about Frederik Andersen doing the job, getting his 7th straight win in his last 7 starts? He's been on an absolute tear for the Hurricanes as well. So you're getting Blake with point milestones, Seth Jarvis point milestones in goals and assists, and Sebastian Aho 70-point season once again. Frederik Andersen 7 straight wins. Like wherever you look, guys are just racking up milestones, racking up achievements and stuff like that. And this is in the middle of a team winning their, winning 5-1. You make your 7th straight playoff appearance, and now you're doing a game where it had pretty much everything: goals, scraps, tempers flaring, weird penalties that weren't really penalties, but it is what it is. And you shut down Alexander Ovechkin for the most part. Of course, he needed a 5-on-3 to score his power play goal, or his goal, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. But you basically shut them down, and you took care of business, and that's what all you really need to do. And the fact that you also stuck up for each other, that definitely goes a long way, because it shows the fans and it shows the rest of the team that, hey, we have 8 games left in the regular season. This is a bonding moment. We're going to stick up for each other, and no one's going to push this team around. Like I said, the last thing the NHL really wants to see right now, especially whoever the Hurricanes face in the playoffs, to see a team right now that's very much bonded already. And now they even got more so like that. And they're going to be ready to go, to be determined to basically run through everyone. Yeah, get ready to see a Carolina Hurricanes team who's going to be playoff ready. Like they're going to take all these next 8 games. Yeah, they're going to take them very seriously because they want that number 2 seed in the East. But they are not going to take their foot off the gas when it comes time to getting ready for the playoffs, because right now, this is where you really start amping up for the playoffs. Obviously, you want to stay healthy because you have a bunch of back-to-backs coming up. But this is, you're going to look back on this game as we get closer to the playoffs and be like, this was the get ready for a playoff moment. Get ready to fight, claw, and battle your way through the second part of the hockey season, where you go from 82-game regular season to now go and try to win 16 playoff games. This is that game where you're like, okay, this is the moment where the Hurricanes were fully locked. I mean, they're already locked in, but this is their fully locked in playoff mode, getting ready for the upcoming playoffs. And the fact they did it in this way, beating one of the top teams in the NHL, run them up, fill them in, 5-1 victory, a bunch of milestones, a bunch of achievements, and you do it in a rivalry game is definitely heated up for sure. So, after all that said and done, Seth Jarvis once again gives another great post game. And we honestly, at this point, we have to hear what Seth Jarvis has to say, because you don't know what he's going to say after some crazy games like this. So stick around as we will hear from Seth Jarvis in a second on a playoff clinching Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. The NCAA tournament is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. So visit FanDuel.com and get on the college hoops action all tournament long. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked on Hurricanes, your team every day. Like I said at the end of segment 2, we are going to hear from Seth Jarvis in his post-game press conference following the Hurricanes' 5-1 win to clinch their 7th straight playoff appearance against the Washington Capitals. So without further ado, let's turn it over to Seth Jarvis right now.
Well, we just talked to you a couple days ago, and now we're back over here because you've got your back-to-back 30-goal seasons and pretty big win for it to happen. How does that feel to do it on a night where you guys clinch a playoff berth?
Yeah, the playoffs is awesome. It's something we play for all year, and to clinch tonight was huge, and the way we did it was awesome.
Do you like the extracurriculars as you get closer to the postseason?
I mean, yeah, that's hockey. It's fun. It's competitive. I mean, at some point you just kind of want to go home, but yeah, I mean, everyone's sticking up for each other, and I'm really proud of the guys in here and how we handled that and not taking any stuff from the other team.
So this is kind of like a best of everything night. You win, you clinch, you get 30, and you still get to see a legendary player creep closer to a record, but not at the expense of you guys winning.
There you go, yeah. I mean, it's only a matter of time. He's in a spot 5-on-3. I feel like you can almost count that before it happens, but yeah, it's thankfully we're not the final goal, but you're right, it was. You don't like getting scored on, but that was a little bit of a cool moment.
5 straight games with a power play goal for you guys. What's been different?
I told you before, the power play's kind of hard right now, so we're starting to figure it out a little bit more. I think we've all been kind of in the same spots now for a little while, so we're all getting comfortable with each other, knowing when to give outs, and just it's nice to see we're scoring in different ways on the power play.
How proud are you tonight of Freddie's his performance? We talked about stopping Ovechkin except for one, but he had a monster game in net.
Yep, Freddie was amazing again, especially early on. They had a few really good chances in the second when they kind of made their push, and I thought he stood on his head and was a big reason why we won.
How about your rookies? You got Jackson with 2 goals. You got Stankoven scoring and going toe to toe with Tom Wilson. You know, maybe a little bit catch weight, kind of.
I mean, yeah, they've been playing great since Stanky's been here. Blaker's been playing great all year, and I love that out of Stanky. He's putting on for our little guys. He did a great job standing in there, and I mean, that's just no fear, and that's a big part of being a smaller player in the NHL. And I think there's no bigger showcase of that than probably going against Tom Wilson in a scenario like that.
So much was made about Ovechkin for good reason, but did that motivate you guys at all tonight to maybe send a message like, hey, we're here too?
I mean, everyone knows what's going on. He's got camera crews following him everywhere. The Gary Bettman's following him everywhere. It's fun to watch, but I mean, our focus was clinching playoffs tonight, and we're really happy that's what we did.
Big thank you to Seth Jarvis and the Carolina Hurricanes, as always, for that. And one other quick note about Seth Jarvis, and always great when you bring up this stat, and big thank you to Kane's stat brand for this. The Carolina Hurricanes are now 70, that's right, 75-5 in the regular season when Seth Jarvis scores a goal. That is a stat that will never get old, and I'm always happy to read that. And yeah, you heard it from him. What Seth Jarvis said tonight was the main thing. Your business was clinching a playoff spot. You did it yourself. They did the exact same thing, and that's all that really matters. Frederik Andersen gets his flowers, played an absolute great game as well. You know, everyone's sticking up for each other. Definitely want to go home when you're going through the rigmarole of scrap after scrap after scrap after scrap. And you're basically ready to get done. The rest of that game took forever, but it's all about trying to stay healthy, trying to stay out as much as you can to finish out the game, and they did exactly that. You know, Seth, it's great for him. 30 goals, 30 assists for 60 points. Jackson Blake doing really well, getting his 30 points. You know, Sebastian Aho getting 70, Freddie's 7th straight win, and now he clinched the playoffs. And like Seth said it perfectly, that was our goal tonight, was to go and clinch the playoffs. Held Ovechkin to only 1 goal, had to be a 5-on-3 to do it. But it was an overall great team effort, and that's all you really going to ask for. It's still mind-blowing to me that the Hurricanes are that good when Seth Jarvis just scores at least 1 goal. 75-5 in 80 regular season games where he scores a goal, they win. Like, that is an absolute insane marker to go 70 for 80 in regulation wins when he does it. You love to see it. And this is a game, like I said from the start of the whole episode, is like this is a statement win. This is where you took care of business, do what you needed to do to get a playoff spot, and you did it. You did it yourselves. You didn't have to have the Canadians to lose or the Jackets to lose. They both won. Okay, fine. So you go into Wednesday night, fine. If we're going to do it ourselves, and they did the exact same thing. They took care of business. They got it done with 8 games to go. Now you just focus on getting the second seed in the East. And this was just, like I said, a complete 60 minutes of Carolina Hurricanes hockey. That's all we ask for. And the fact that you do it against the Washington Capitals makes it even special, too, because now you're getting the vibes of a 2019 playoff run once again. And 2, yeah, they're on the second half of a back-to-back. The Hurricanes have won games in the second half of a back-to-back, and they've done it in a dominating fashion, too. So there really is no excuse anymore of like, oh, well, team's tired. It's the second half. Okay, everyone's got second half of back-to-backs. Hurricanes have won those type of games. Heck, like I said, they got 3 more. They have 3 to go through this week. They have one this weekend where they played the Detroit Red Wings on Friday. They got Boston on Saturday, and then they come back home later in the month to do a back-to-back against the Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs, get a couple of days off, and then you got a Wednesday-Thursday matchup between the Canadians in Montreal, in Ottawa, the day after that. So there really is no excuse for teams to not take care of business on back-to-backs. And like I said, the Hurricanes got 3 of them. So if they win, great. If not, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Everyone's not due for one, but that type of excuse doesn't really exist in the AHL anymore because everyone's won on a second half of a back-to-back. The Hurricanes have already done it this year. So this is a statement game, statement win, and you do it perfectly too with a bunch of milestones. You do it to where you have 7 straight playoff appearances in the Rod Brind'Amour era. And it's crazy to think too that before Rod Brind'Amour was even a head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, they had 5 playoff appearances in their entire franchise history, and this is with them having a 10-year drought to go from the 08-09 season to the 18-19 season, 0 playoff appearances, like too good to not get a lottery pick, but not good enough to make the playoffs. Hockey purgatory for 10 years. You get Rod Brind'Amour as head coach. They had a ragtag bunch of guys in the 18-19 season because you're still coming off of the former head coach, former regime, still trying to figure it out. You didn't know how they were going to do. You get in. You get Perry Mrazek saying, we're in. We're in. Everyone's crying. Everyone's happy the fact that you made the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. And now you're looking at the team with the only active head coach to go 7 straight playoff appearances. Welcome to the golden era of Carolina Hurricanes hockey. You love to see it, and now you hope that this might be in a retool season. The Carolina Hurricanes are looking to make a statement, especially after a game like this, that, hey, no matter if we're in a retool, never, ever count this team out. And they did just that. Now we have 8 games left in the regular season. Go get 50 wins. Go get 100 points on the season and get ready for the playoffs. Because Caniacs, you got playoff hockey coming to Raleighwood once again. This is going to be a fun night. Celebrate, but don't celebrate too hard because we got 8 games left. But definitely enjoy this one as your Hurricanes are going to the 2025 NHL playoffs. Yeah, it will be a playoff clinching Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making the Locked On NHL podcast, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to keep up with me, I'm at OneTrueZach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin, where I have link trees in my bios where you can check out all of my Carolina Hurricanes articles at thehockeywriters.com. If you want to check out some AHL stuff, well, it's thecaldertimes.com. Maybe you want to check out my baseball coverage. CoveringTheCorner.com at SB Nation, talking about the Cleveland Guardians. If you want to check out my other podcast, which is the Surgecast, well, you can find that on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For this show, Well, Locked on Hurricanes is on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and review because I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, well, it's Locked on Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up to let me know if you like the show as well. Share with all other Caniacs who become everydayers just like you, especially with the playoffs just around the corner. But hope everyone enjoyed this Thursday playoff clinching edition of Locked on Hurricanes. Enjoy your Thursday, Caniacs. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes, and let's get ready for some playoff hockey in Raleighwood.